or good afternoon, and welcome to Art for Today. This week we are making art in preparation for International Dot Day. We're going to first read The Dot by Peter H Reynolds, look at some artists and their artwork that are inspired by dot or dot-like things, and then we're going to get to creating. So let's get started. Now we're going to read The Dot by Peter H Reynolds. Art class was over, but Vashti sat glued to her chair. Her paper was empty. Vashti's teacher leaned over the blank paper. "Ah, a polar bear in a snowstorm," she said. "Very funny," said Vashti. "I just can't draw." Her teacher smiled. "Just make a mark and see where it takes you." Vashti grabbed a marker and gave the paper a good, strong jab. There. Her teacher picked up the paper and studied it carefully. She pushed the paper toward Vashti and quietly said, "Now sign it." Vashti thought for a moment. "Well, maybe I can't draw, but I can sign my name." The next week, when Vashti walked into art class, she was surprised to see what was hanging above her teacher's desk. It was the little dot she had drawn, her dot, all framed in swirly gold. "Humph, I can make a better dot than that." She opened her never-before-used set of watercolors and set to work. Vashti painted and painted. A red dot, a purple dot, a yellow dot, a blue dot. The blue mixed with the yellow. She discovered that she could make a green dot. Vashti kept experimenting, lots of little dots in many colors. If I can make little dots, I can make big dots too. Vashti splashed her colors with a bigger brush on bigger paper to make bigger dots. Vashti even made a dot by not painting a dot. At the school art show a few weeks later, Vashti's many dots made quite a splash. Vashti noticed a little boy gazing up at her. "You're a really great artist. I wish I could draw," he said. "I bet you can," said Vashti. "Me? No, not me. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler." Vashti smiled. She handed the boy a blank sheet of paper. "Show me." The boy's pencil shook as he drew his line. Vashti stared at the boy's squiggle, and then she said, "Please, sign it." Take a second to pause and maybe talk with your favorite adult about what the story means. And then let's get to creating. Now I'm going to show you a few artists that use dots to help inspire your artwork. This first one is Georges Seurat. He's a French pointillist painter, which means he used lots and lots of little colored dots to create the optical illusion of new colors. So when you look at this painting, this is made from lots and lots and lots of tiny little dots. It took a long time. This is Vasily Kandinsky. He is an abstract expressionist painter, and he was really into looking at color and how they made you feel emotionally as he made these dots and these circles that overlapped and kind of played together like music. This is Alma Thomas. She's an African-American expressionist from DC. She loved color theory, and she loved to make artwork about either things around her, flowers, nature, or things of current events, using color and lines to kind of express her way. This is Chuck Close, a photorealistic artist, and later on in life, when his physical limitations stopped him from creating photorealistic art, he came up with a way of gridding and using these colored dots and paint that overall had the effect and the optical illusion of being a photorealistic piece of artwork. And this is Yayoi Kusama. She is an installation artist from Japan who uses dots in light and other objects. Usually they're very big and they're supposed to be experienced by the viewer, so that way they can understand her feelings of how she copes with certain things as well as visions she has seen. So as these artists have shown us, there are many different ways to make dots and make them creative in your own. All right, friends, so let's talk about how we're going to start our art today. First of all, it depends on what you're going to be using. If you're using color pencil, you might want to choose a small piece of paper or like a note card. If you're using markers or paint, you might want to choose a little bigger. I think note card size or half paper size is the best size for this project. So take a moment to find some paper, find what coloring materials you're going to use, and then we can get started with your artwork, which will in a second kind of look like this. So in the story, Vashti made the dot, signed it, and put it in the swirly frame. So we're going to work a little backwards. We're going to first make a frame. You can do that by taking a ruler and drawing lines on the edge of the paper. I actually line the ruler up with the edge of the paper and then draw a line inside. Or you can just draw a line freehand, like I'm going to do on the top and the bottom, for your swirly gold frame. For my frame, I'm going to use an orange Sharpie because I'm going to show you how I'm going to paint over it. You can use a Sharpie or you can use a marker, it's up to you. But go ahead and with a color that is like orange or red or black or brown, I want you to create a swirly gold frame. So draw some designs. Remember, I want you to do your best. I want your artwork to look a little different than mine. So just draw designs that you want to draw and not necessarily copy mine. So you can see my menu of lines that I'm using there in the middle. If you want to pause and take a look at those and create, the next thing we're going to do after we have made our frame is we're going to sign it. So make sure that you have finished your drawing part of the frame, and then I'm going to talk to you about how I want you to sign and how I want you to color. So pause now if you need to. The next thing we're going to do is going to sign our name. So you're going to put by and then your name. You can write in cursive or print, whatever you're comfortable with. And I want you to write whatever name you'd like to be called. So I like to be Mrs. Dykes. If your name is William, but you like to go by Will, I want you to write that at the bottom. After you're done writing your name, you can color in your frame with yellow or you can paint it in. Just make sure that if you're coloring, you are covering up all the white spaces, maybe using the side of a crayon or a color pencil. And if you're painting, remember to add water to your paint so that way you can see your Sharpie lines through it. Pause here if you're not done with your frame, and then play when you're ready to start making our dot. So the first thing you need is a pencil, and very lightly, I want you to draw a circle and then evenly spaced concentric circles around it. Once you reach the edge of the paper, do arches that follow the same kind of arch as the circles. Now what I want you to do is, with different kinds of lines, I want you to follow those rings that you made. Try to use at least 2 or 3 different kinds of lines. And you can draw a little bit harder so that way you can see them better. So if you need to pause and take a look at my line menu, you can do that now. Once you get to the arches, the first arch should be the same as the other first arch, as if you could see the circle going off the edge of the paper. Same with the top arch. Now, the first thing we're going to do is, after that, think about colors. So for each of your rings, I want you to color in with a light value. Value is lights to darks depending on the color. So looking at my value chart, I want to choose either colors that are light or that I can make light by using less pressure. Or if I'm using markers or paint, I'll show you how to make them lighter as well. So you can use whatever you have material-wise, but I will show you a variety. So if I'm using crayon, I'm not going to push too hard so I get a light value. Next, I'm going to use color pencil. Same kind of principle. I'm going to be not pushing too hard so that I have a light value. Now I skipped a line because I am going to go in there with paint. You do not have to skip a line, but just know that that's the reason I skipped. Now markers, you can't affect their color with pressure, so you're going to just choose light valued colored markers. And they might not all be light, so you might want to test them. Yellow is usually always light, but like for example, I have this green marker that looks pretty light, but when I use it, it actually turns out kind of dark. So you use light to medium colored markers, so that way, like if you go over your name, you can definitely still see it. This one's kind of medium, but that's okay. And remember, this is a good time to tell you, yours doesn't have to look like mine. It should actually look very unique and different than mine. Now for paint. If you're using watercolor, you're going to use more water to make it look more transparent, and therefore on the white paper, it will look lighter. What I like to think about is putting very watery color in the middle of my space and then carefully just spreading it out, not necessarily getting more. I'm also using a flat brush because I want a little more control. If you're using tempera paint, you can add water to it, or you can lighten it by putting a little bit of that color into white. That ended up too dark, so I added more water to it. I'm just going to try to spread it out. Make sure whatever material you are using good craftsmanship, which means you're taking your time, you're trying to make the colors nice and neat and even, and you're trying to fill in all the white spaces while staying inside the lines. So once your paper's dry, or if you're just ready for the next step, you're going to use darker value colors to make lines. So you can trace, and then inside create textures and different line decorations. You're using darker valued colors because you want it to stand out on top of your lighter colors. You can use the same color but a darker value, or you can use a different color that you feel like will go well with the color. But it's up to you how you want to design it. You can keep it kind of simple, or you can make more complicated designs. Just make sure you're using darker colors so that way you have contrast. I wanted to thank you all for watching my video and making art with me today. I hope that you had fun, and until next time, have fun creating.